Alright, so my name is Short Name. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a story games teleporter. So to start is I made these three off screen right before the video actually started here. So what you're going to do is create a folder called servers and have yourself three things here. And I used a billboard UI. You don't have to use billboard UIs. You can do whatever you want here. Next, if you do use it, make three of these like three text labels here. One's going to be for the countdown for when you touch it, it will start to count down. The second one's going to be the title. This isn't required. I just like having it so that whoever from like over here can clearly see instead of having to see the amount. It will say like single, trios, squads. And then the amount will be how many players are currently in this booth. So what we're going to start by doing is going into server script service and creating a folder, which will be our folders for scripts. So we could put server scripts in here and create a script, and this will be called Matchmaking. Leave something completely off screen. All right. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so we're going to start by making ourselves our declared services that we can call later. So the two services we'll be using for this is going to be the player service, and we'll be using the teleport service. So next we're going to have some private declarations, which will be when we're calling stuff like the server, the list, like server list. You won't be able to come to another script and have something like call the server list. It will error because you can't like talk between these two things. So we're gonna go ahead and make our server list here. We're gonna wait for the child, and we're gonna find a thing called servers, which is basically this right here. If I like to have timeouts inside of the scripts, because if you don't have a timeout, then it can infinite yield. If like the servers folder here is under something else, it won't be able to find it because it's looking specifically for workspace itself, not anything that's inside of workspace. Like it's not looking for servers inside of workspace. If you did want to do that, you could use find first child with a second argument, which is if it's recursive, it is whether or not it will look inside of here. So you could do servers true, and it'll basically trick through every single what do you call it, descendant of workspace to find specifically this folder. So I of course do not want to do that. I just want to look through workspace itself for the servers. Next we're going to have a player list, which will be for each one of our server things. So I'm going to create 1, 3, and 4. It's going to be a string, and they're each going to have a table. So we can make then a 2. And we can create a 3. Now that we have these, we are going to have our functions here. And off the bat, I know we're going to have a start function, which will be for when we start a game. And we're going to have a is player and match, which will be for we can check if a player's in the match, so good for debugging stuff and all that. So basically what we're going to start with is we're going to have an RBX connection list here. RBX connections, which is anything basically like this. So if I do workspace dot I don't know, map dot base part dot touched connect function, this is a RBX connection because I'm connecting to a Roblox function. So for my case, I'm gonna do for index comma value in server list. I'm gonna get the children of it. So this is gonna get everything inside of here, and each one of these has a touched and everything inside here, which will be hitbox. The hitbox is basically this right here, this big ass wall. I didn't mean to say that. I'll try to limit how much I cuss, but this wall right here is basically the hitbox. So if someone comes from the front and touches it, they get put in the game. If they come from this side and touch nothing, they don't get put in the game. So it's basically just where I don't want them coming in from this side, so there's gonna be a big barrier along here because I don't want them to leave. I don't want them to come in or out. Basically, that's what this does. Is we're getting the index and the value of everything inside of there. So to start, is we're going to go ahead and get the hitbox.touched connect function hit, which is going to be a base part. This is good scripting etiquette because it lets know whoever's looking at the script, they know that what gets put into here. For example, if they want to call this and it's going to be like this, if I were to call it down here, whoever's calling the function will know, hey, the first argument must be a base part, which tells me right there that's going to be a base part. So then what we could do is inside of it itself, you want to have two attributes, both numbers. One's going to be our countdown and one's going to be our max players. You can do this in different ways. So for me, I want to do this one's going to have one max player and the countdown of 5. This one's going to be 15 seconds with the max players of 3, and same with 4, but instead it's going to be 4 max players. So we're just doing it so we can get out of the way. Technically, you don't need the max players because if I'm naming it already like this, you can just check how many the name of that to do it. But for my sake, I'm just gonna make an attribute. So we're gonna make a simple player list, which is gonna be a toString of the value is greater than or equal to the values get attribute max players, then return end, which basically means is if too many people are in it, I want to stop any future players from being able to join. So now we can start with the actual coding. This will be for getting our player model, and we're going to basically check is if the player model actually exists, or if the player model is not actually a player model, then we can return stop also. Because if it's not a player, if nothing's in here, that's a model. So if it's like already servers that touched it, which is impossible because that's a folder. Let's say this touches it and I get the parent and it's workspace. Or if it's nil, like if workspace touched it and the parent workspace is going to be returned nil, this will stop the script. Or if the parent of it, like this parent, like if you touch this, or if this touched it and then it's a parent and it's servers is not a model, so we're going to return also. So then we can go ahead and get a player via our service that we called up here called players. We can get the service here and do get player from character and then do the player model here, which will basically get us our player. Now we're going to come to our function here, which we want to check player is already in a match. So if they for some reason touch the same one here again, or from here glitch it out and they touch over here, we don't want them to bug out the game. So we are going to have a simple is player in match, and it's going to be a what do you call it? A player. It's going to be a player. So that here I know it's going to be a player. So I can enter player here, and then return warn player is a player already in match. So that could tell me that the player's already in the match if they touch it. Now from here, we're going to insert its own table under player list toString value, add a player, which basically is going to add them to whichever one of this they're in. So for example, let's say they touch the hitbox number 1, they'll be inserted into this table, and then this function will check if they are already in any one of those, and if they are, it will say true, and then it will end. But then we can go ahead, and this is completely optional. I like to do this. I'm going to teleport the character who touched it into the middle of the thing here, which will be like right here. It's going to teleport to here. So once they're at the table, teleport them there. And so now we're completely done with this. Now we're going to head up to this part up here, and we're going to do for index value in player list, do if table.find value player, then return true. If it finds this player inside of any one of these tables, it'll return true. We're almost halfway done now, so it's that easy, really. So now we can go ahead and start with the actual countdown of the game, I guess you could say. So this will be in a loop. What now we're going to do is a while task.wait 1 do. So this is going to be every second. Now, if you prefer wait, go ahead and use wait, but task.wait is just a tiny bit faster. So if you want to use task.wait or wait, your pick. So then we do for index value. Yes, there is a lot of for I, v's. You could actually cut the script down a lot, but I used to wait. I want to code this for you guys to be easily read. I want to do it like this. So now we can do is in server list. We could do get children do, and I actually have a. I'll do it after. I'll do it after. So we could do our display amount dot text will be set to the new attribute, which will be actually exactly like that. Exactly what I wanted. And like this. So if the amount of player list and then the toString that. So this will be the current players in it slash the amount of attribute, amount of total players. That's just the way you can set it. So now we're gonna do is value get attribute countdown -1 is less than or equal to 0. Then we'll start the game. So this is basically this will be for if one player is inside of it, or this is if the countdown is going and it's hit 0, then it will fire this function up here. Else what we're going to do is if the number of player list toString value is greater than 0, then what we're going to do is basically, so if no one's in it, nothing will happen, but as soon as one player goes in it, the countdown is going to start. So we're going to set the display.countdown.visible equals true, and then value set attribute countdown to value get attribute countdown -1, and then we can set the display.countdown.text to our new countdown attribute. So that's going to be our new attribute here. So next we're going to head up to our start function up here and simply do is, I think I'm going to do when you touch it, it's going to be into information. So we're going to set a temp variable here, which will be, so I can call back exactly what is the title text, because I want to set that to a something else later on. So this is going to be a server, which will be an instance, so that whenever I'm calling it from like down here, it's going to tell me it has to be an instance that goes there, which will be one of these servers. So then I'm going to go ahead and do server.display.countdown.visible equals false, which is going to be this countdown top, which is there right now because it's game hasn't started. Server.display.title.text equals starting match. And then we're going to do is local players in match equals player list toString server. If number of players in match is less than or equal to 0, then the return end, which is basically going to stop it so that if any players that are in the match, 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I saw the music a little cut out there. I'm just playing something else and I forgot to turn it off. Okay. So, let me minimize. All right, so back to what I was saying here. So we're checking if the players in match is less than 0. So if someone leaves at the last second, the script will stop. I want to rewrite this in a little bit. This section right here. I should clean it up a little bit. But anyways, next we go to our favorite part, which is actually teleporting the players in there. So, for example, I'm going to just have it teleport to the same place. You can set it to whatever your match is. So then we're going to set it to the players in match, which will be one of these. We'll teleport everyone in there. And then, once we do that, is we're going to set it back to being nil. And we're going to then wait 1 second. And we'll set the server display title text back to the temp, which will be to whatever this is prior. So I'm gonna go back and I'm actually gonna change this text up to what I actually want it as. So I'm gonna play with that a little bit and I'll see you guys in a minute. So go ahead and test the script, edit whatever you need in it, and I'll be right back. All right, I am back, and so here we have this. So basically all you need to do now is once we have this all done, I just quite literally made it so that the text actually goes to a text rich. So what we gotta do now is go ahead and save this, and we can head into our game itself here. Let's make sure we publish it again. I want to make sure it's published. All right. So now we can go ahead and open up our game. There it is. Not sure why it took so long right there. Okay. So now that we're in here, you'll see that this is 0 to 1. And you can see that no matter where I'm at here, I can't go in. But if we come around and walk in from this side, it's going to teleport us in. It's going to count down here. And then it's going to say intermission. And then we are basically now back into the main game here. So that's basically the whole thing of the story mode thing. It's that simple. This is all it is. I'm gonna go ahead for a little slow scroll through for anyone that wants to just copy it from the end of this video here. This is basically the whole script. So, this is something super in-depth details. I'm simply bare bones, just teaching you the basics of how you can do it. This is because I want you guys to now build off this or edit it however you want so that you can make this better and more optimized than I've made it. As I don't know if I said this, but if I were to have written this for a game I made, I would have made it a little less user-friendly. I would have made it all the modules just so that someone that's not like a more advanced person wouldn't actually be able to. Someone like you guys, if you're watching this, you most likely don't know how to do this, and you're not the best scripter, and so you're trying to learn. But if someone's like a beginner scripter, they're not going to really know how my core games would work. But anyways, basically, I'm gonna go over this real quick of what it's doing. This is deleting my declared services, so I can call back at any time down here. This is similar with the private declarations, but this is used for something that's like, rather than services, you call in like an instance, or you have a table or something, which I'm using for each one of these, rather than calling them and storing them on them. I have it in a table here. I next have a start game function and a is player and match. I'm checking if something is touching the hitboxes here, and I will add them to the table and do some other nifty stuff. And then every second, I will go through each one of these, and I'll basically update their player count or bring down their timer if they are actually in it. So that's all it is. I'm not going to teach you how to make something to exit the queue. This is simply how to make a matchmaking part. If you do want to make that, you simply make a remote over here. You make a remote event, connect the remote event in here, and basically tell it when you're fired. You can edit up this is player match to actually return the player list. And you can then remove them from that table right there so that it does not teleport them. You can just teleport them back out. But that's all that's in this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to comment down below if you want what videos you want. I don't feel like editing this, so this is gonna be a long, raw 18-minute video of whatever I'm coding. So make sure you guys follow every step. If you have any problems, make sure you just leave it down in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.